Chapter 81 The Dandy Returns. You are listening at novelfull.audio. King Baichen was stunned. The immortal family was still an envoy of the great Zhou dynasty. This was a disaster. They must be here to stir up trouble, using King Baichen's reputation in Zhao to control the royal family and seize the kingdom without a fight. If he agreed, he'd be a traitor, forever scorned. If he refused, everyone in Baichen Palace might be dead by morning. Too late to run. King Baichen, losing hope, grabbed his sword and rushed outside. Zhao Yu, Zhao Ji. Get the family out the back. Run, and don't stop. I'll hold them off as long as I can. In his youth, Zhao Qin spent some time with an old Taoist and barely learned enough to be considered foundation establishment. That was how he got the title of King of Baichen. He became loud and respected, feared even by the royal family. Otherwise, the emperor wouldn't have betrothed his favorite daughter to Zhao Mu, King Baichen's son. Thinking of that kid, Zhao Mu, King Baichen felt a pang of sadness. Son, he thought, maybe it wasn't so bad you got snatched by that demon. If you were here, you'd be doomed too. Dad's got his sword out, looking murderous. Who's he trying to kill? King Baichen jumped at the voice. Zhao Qin looked up and saw a young man smiling as he walked into the palace with two women. Mu'er. Zhao Qin was so shocked and happy he dropped his sword. Zhao Mu grinned. Don't worry, Dad. Heard Zhao was in trouble, came back as fast as I could. Seeing everything still standing, I finally feel relieved. It really is Mu'er. Good boy, knew you'd be okay. Zhao Qin yelled. Zhao Yu, Zhao Ji. Don't run. Come here. Mu'er's back. Little brother. It's really him. Two men in fine robes hurried out, overjoyed to see Zhao Mu. They rushed over, giving him a bear hug. Zhao Mu felt a little awkward but didn't pull away. From his predecessor's memories, Zhao Mu knew these were his older brothers, Zhao Yu and Zhao Ji. Zhao Yu was in the military, a captain in charge of patrolling the capital. Zhao Ji was a historian, a talented writer admired by the ladies and gentlemen of Zhao. Zhao Mu used to be arrogant and entitled, but these two brothers always smoothed things over. They took good care of him, which gave Zhao Mu a good impression. More people appeared, wives, butlers, guards, all familiar faces. Zhao Mu felt a surge of emotion. And a little bit lucky. Good thing Shi Rui told him about this. If he'd waited a few more days, Baichen Palace might not exist anymore. Dad, brothers, no time for stories right now. I came back to end this war between Zhou and Zhao. The emperor of Zhou is under the influence of a demon. This is pure evil. I'm going to the palace to see the emperor, protect Zhao first, then head to Zhou and fix this. Hearing Zhao Mu's words, Zhao Qin grinned. My son's grown up, independent. Makes me proud. And I know you don't talk nonsense. If you say it, you've got a plan. Whatever you need, I'll pave the way for you. Just then, a gust of demonic wind blew through the courtyard. A giant bear fell from the sky, landing with a crash. The sight of this monstrous creature terrified everyone. Servants scrambled, trying to get away. Don't panic. We're good. Zhao Mu quickly reassured them and then slapped Blind Bear on the head. Couldn't be quieter. You're scaring my family. I'll be drinking out of your bare paws. Blind Bear scratched his head, shifting into human form. Sorry, boss. Got a little excited. He threw out a dying cavalry general. What did you find? Zhao Mu asked. Blind Bear said, these Zhou cavalry weren't monks. They took a special elixir that boosted their strength to foundation establishment, but it's highly toxic. They'll be dead in a week. Zhao Mu frowned. He knew a little about elixirs. This kind of life-burning drug existed, but it was mostly used by evil cults. Shi Rui looked worried. Junior brother Zhao, things at the Zhou palace are probably bad. I'm worried about my sister. I need to go ahead. Zhao Mu nodded. Then I won't keep you. Once I sort things out here, I'll head to Zhou and we can figure this out together. Okay. Shi Rui soared into the sky, boarding the air boat and flying away. Everyone in Beichen Palace stared, admiration on their faces. To the mortals of the Xianwu continent, practitioners were mysterious. Although Zhao Chen was a foundation establishment monk, his cultivation wasn't pure. He had spiritual power, but it didn't resonate with the energy of the world. Flying on a sword was a dream. A true practitioner was like an immortal, while he was just a stronger martial artist. After watching Shi Rui leave, Zhao Chen looked at Zhao Mu. My son calls that immortal his senior sister. Could he have joined an immortal sect? But why does he have a demon with him? Have I gone astray? Zhao Chen's heart tightened, but he knew that whatever Zhao Mu had become, he was still his son, his flesh and blood. Dad, brothers, let's go to the palace and see the saint. The royal family's attitude is key. I need to know where they stand. Zhao Mu declared passionately. He mostly wanted to meet this princess he'd never seen before. The Zhao family nodded and prepared to leave. Zhao Mu ordered Gui Hai to take the Zhou cavalrymen with them as the group headed for the palace. Beichen Palace wasn't far from the imperial palace, but they caused a stir on the way. Isn't that the Zhao family's spoiled brat? Heard he's an immortal now. Changed man. He skipped out on the bill at my place. That's nothing. Mr. Zhao pinched my butt. Chapter 82 Zhao Mu meets the Emperor. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Zhao Mu skipped flying straight to the palace, choosing to walk down the main road instead. He wanted to make a statement. Zhao Mu, I'm back. Of course, it wasn't just about showing off. Zhao Mu wanted to build momentum for the entire Beichen Palace. Since a trip home was rare, some things needed to be handled properly. The Zhou dynasty's threat wasn't a big deal to Zhao Mu. Now that he was back, that problem would be solved quickly. What Zhao Mu was really thinking about was the future direction of Beichen Palace. After all, the emperor's last name was Zhao, and Zhao Qin shared the same name. They were both royal blood, so it shouldn't matter who became emperor. The saying goes, when a man attains enlightenment, all his kin ascend to heaven. Zhao Mu's return home demanded some contribution to the family. His father, Zhao Chen, was in his prime and held significant influence in court. Supporting him for the throne seemed like the right move. Boss, on the way, Ghost Clam and Pig Flea arrived as well. Gui Ha messaged Zhao Mu. During our investigation, we found several disciples of the Shengyuan Demon Sect helping Zhao's army fight off the Zhou invaders. I questioned them, and one named Wang said he was here to atone for his sins. Wang, that wasn't that the demon who kidnapped him from Zhao and took him to the Holy Yuan Demon Sect as a handyman? What was going on? He'd actually come to Zhao to help defend against Zhou, claiming he wanted to atone. That was unexpected, but after a moment, Zhao Mu understood Wang Sheng's reasoning. The guy probably knew Zhao Mu's status in the Shengyuan Demon Sect had skyrocketed. Afraid of Zhao Mu settling the score later, he traveled all the way to Wushuan City to do Zhao Mu a solid. The little schemer's plan was pretty clever. Zhao Mu couldn't exactly bring the hammer down on him now. The guy was a quick thinker, finding a way to defuse the situation. Gui Ha continued, I heard that Wang Sheng has been a big help to Zhao. If it weren't for him guarding Wushuan City, it would have fallen weeks ago. Now the royal family trusts Wang Sheng and his crew completely, seeing them as saviors of Zhao. Leave them be for now. Did you find anything else? Gui Ha said, yeah, I overheard Zhou cavalry saying a team of 500 would be heading south tomorrow, aiming to take Wushuan City directly. These 500 cavalry have all taken pills to enhance their foundation. Though there are nearly 200,000 troops stationed outside Wushuan City, facing 500 foundation-building cavalry, they might collapse before long. No wonder Zhao Mu saw chaos in the city earlier. Many people were packing up, preparing to flee, seemingly aware that Wushuan City couldn't be defended. He needed to act fast. Soon, they arrived at the foot of the imperial city. Zhao's imperial city was extremely lavish. Even the walls were made of colored glaze, and the ground was paved with blue and white jade. Dragons and phoenixes were carved everywhere, even the bricks and tiles bore patterns of auspicious creatures. The place just screamed royal extravagance. An ancient formation guarded the entire palace. Outside the imperial city, the spiritual energy was weak, but inside, it was abundant. There might be a small spiritual vein hidden underground for the royal family, while the aura wasn't close to the Shengyuan Demon Sect. Such a place was rare in Zhao, which had always lacked spiritual energy. I hadn't noticed how extravagant and lustful the Zhao royal family is. I can only imagine the wealth they seized from people to build this place, Zhao Mu said, his tone harsh. Zhao Qin was shocked to hear such rebellious words from his son. They were about to reach the palace. If those words were overheard and reached the emperor, it would be a crime worthy of execution. Zhao Qin was about to scold Zhao Mu but remembered his son was now an immortal cultivator and went silent. Who cares if the emperor overheard? Secular emperors were just ants compared to immortal cultivators. Halt. Entry to the palace forbidden. I am Zhao Qin, king of Beiqin. I have important matters and need to see the emperor immediately. Announce my presence, Zhao Qin shouted. However, the guards ignored him and slammed the palace doors shut. It seems a bit off that the emperor is holed up in the palace while the country's in crisis. Has he already packed up and run? Zhao Mu's voice wasn't loud, but with spiritual power behind it, it carried and echoed throughout the palace. How dare a brat like you spout such nonsense? King Beiqin, is this the kind of son you've raised? Suddenly, an old man with a goatee, dressed as a Taoist in purple and gold robes, flew down from the sky, wielding a glowing green magic sword and shouting loudly. The Taoist had some skill in the early stages of pill formation. The scolding came with spiritual pressure. Ordinary people without cultivation would be immediately struck to the heart. While it wouldn't be fatal, they'd be out of commission for years. Zhao Qin could withstand the force because he had some level of cultivation, but Zhao Yu and Zhao Ji were mere mortals and definitely couldn't. Where did this old geezer come from? Zhao Mu waved his hand and easily dispersed the Taoist's spiritual pressure. The Taoist was startled, studying Zhao Mu closely. Unable to gauge his power, he was secretly shocked. Could he be a Jindan master? And his cultivation was higher than his own. Zhao Qian's youngest son was just a playboy before. How did he become so powerful after just a year away? Did he get a lucky break? Greed flickered in the Taoist's eyes. He smiled. It's Mr. Zhao. A handsome man, indeed. I apologize for the misjudgment. Please don't take it to heart. Mr. Zhao, please follow me to the palace to see the emperor. What a quick change of face. Zhao Qin was secretly shocked. He knew how arrogant the national master was, but he was suddenly so polite when he saw Zhao Mu. Could it be that Zhao Mu's strength had already surpassed the national master? The national teacher was a master who'd practiced for 2 centuries and had reached the Jindan realm. Zhao Mu had only been gone for a year. Could he have broken through to the Jindan realm? Zhao Qin couldn't help but get excited at the thought. The Zhao family had struck gold with this son, a blessing from his ancestors. Zhao Mu didn't waste words and walked straight forward, entering the palace first. Little princess, here I come. But now wasn't the time to find the little princess. Zhao Mu headed straight to the court. He walked like a dragon and a tiger. Thunder seemed to rumble with each step, and the royal guard scattered in fear. Before he reached the court, Zhao Mu suddenly heard music. He used his senses and found the emperor sitting in the hall. Singing girls were playing music, dancing girls were dancing. The old emperor was holding a beauty in his arms, listening to music, watching dance, and reveling. Zhao Mu frowned slightly and shouted sternly, while the country faces danger, this dog emperor hides in the palace, living a life of luxury and debauchery. How can you face the ancestors of the Zhao family? You don't deserve to be emperor. Chapter 83 Calling for Help. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Who dares spout nonsense outside the palace walls? How dare they disrespect the emperor? That the angry shout accompanied the appearance of a heavily armored officer, sword in hand. The officer radiated power, his eyes sharp and piercing. He was a Jindan master. Who's this guy? Zhao Mu asked. Zhao Yu whispered, that's Han Kuo. The royal family hired him as a Jindan cultivator for a hefty price. He's supposed to protect the royal family. Lately, with the emperor neglecting his duties, Han Kuo and the national teacher, Hong Daoren, have been running the show. They used their power and the emperor's trust to turn Zhao into their personal playground, extorting and oppressing the people. Indignation filled Zhao Yu's face as he spoke. Just 2 Jindan cultivators have got Zhao wrapped around their fingers. That dog emperor is a disgrace. Zhao Mu exploded. Honestly, Zhao Mu hadn't planned to take drastic action against the emperor just for the little princess, but now he saw that if the emperor stayed in power, Zhao was doomed. A mere Jindan. You're asking for it. Han Kuo drew his sword and charged, his strike fierce and unforgiving. Zhao Chen and the others paled with fear. A blow from a Jindan cultivator could level mountains, but to Zhao Mu, Han Kuo's skill was pathetic. Despite being Jindan, his strike was weaker than some foundation-building cultivators from the Shengyuan Demon Sect. It was tough for independent cultivators in the secular world to achieve real success. Zhao Mu didn't even need to lift a finger. Xiong Xia flashed forward, shielding everyone. Facing the incoming blade, Xiong Xia lazily yawned. Too lazy to even use his demonic power, he casually waved his left arm like swatting a mosquito, dissipating the energy without so much as a breeze. Han Kuo was stunned. His sword had a century's worth of power behind it, able to cleave diamonds. How could it be so easily deflected? It was unbelievable. Who was this bear of a man? Was he a Jindan cultivator, too? Spacing out. We're in a fight. A moment's distraction can be fatal. A cold voice cut through the air behind Han Kuo. Han Kuo's hair stood on end. Without turning around, he slashed blindly, but the blade met something like quicksand, its power instantly nullified. Snap. With a sickening crack, Gue Ha shattered Han Kuo's magic weapon sword between 2 fingers. A shard of the broken blade sliced across Han Kuo's neck, spraying blood. Han Kuo's eyes widened in disbelief before he crashed to the ground, dead. Just like that, a Jindan cultivator was gone. Silence fell. National teacher Hong Daoren was the most shaken of all. He knew Han Kuo's strength well. They were evenly matched in direct combat, and Hong Daoren was even weaker than Han Kuo at close quarters since Han Kuo's wild swordsmanship was quite sharp and domineering, but Han Kuo died instantly, without even a chance to resist. The bald monk strangled him like a chicken. A chill ran down Hong Daoren's spine. The bald monk was Zhao Mu's man, taking orders from him. What level of power did Zhao Mu hold to command such a formidable warrior? Hong Daoren dared not dwell on it. He was already planning his escape. If he didn't run now, he'd never get another chance. With a shout, Hong Daoren summoned a giant golden falcon out of thin air and took flight, rapidly soaring out of the palace, hundreds of meters away in the blink of an eye. Bring him back, Zhao Mu said casually. Gue Ha nodded and vanished in a blur, reappearing moments later before Zhao Mu. But this time, Gue Ha held someone else in his grasp. Hong Daoren stared at Zhao Mu in disbelief, his face ashen with despair. Gue Ha's single move had shattered Hong Daoren's hopes. A Yuanying master. Zhao Mu's subordinate was a Yuanying realm master. Yuanying realm cultivators could establish their own sections. They were welcomed with open arms into any faction. Even the 5 major holy lands of mankind wouldn't reject a Yuanying realm master. That's how valuable a Yuanying realm master was, and such a powerful Yuanying realm master was willing to serve Zhao Mu. Just how powerful was Zhao Mu? Boss, what do we do with him? Zhao Mu pointed to the palace hall and said, toss him in there and show that dog emperor what kind of garbage he's been relying on. Got it. Gue Ha grabbed Hong Daoren and the corpse of Han Kuo. With a grunt, he hurled both the living and the dead into the palace hall. Zhao Chen and the others watched, stunned and thrilled. The civil and military officials of the court hated these 2 Taoists, and they couldn't have expected this day to come. Zhao Chen was also shocked by Zhao Mu's strength. His youngest son had only been missing for a year. Although he was born with a pure young body and had potential for cultivation, his growth was rapid. Who's causing a ruckus here? That the old emperor's booming voice echoed from the hall. The voice was unusually powerful for a mortal. Was the old emperor a cultivator? No, he never showed any talent for cultivation. It was impossible for him to suddenly become a cultivator at his age. He must have taken a shortcut. As the words faded, an old man with a gilded dragon robe and a youthful face stepped out of the hall. Your Majesty, Zhao Chen gasped, seeing the emperor's face. The old emperor was over 80 years old, withered and frail. But now, his complexion was youthful, as if he had been reborn. How could it not shock people? Zhao Chen, How dare you bring people into the palace and kill my loyal ministers? Do you know the penalty for this, that the old emperor had ruled for over 60 years? Despite his incompetence, he had developed an aura of authority. His words carried weight. Zhao Qin couldn't bear it. He instinctively knelt down, but Zhao Mu waved his hand, and a gentle force held Zhao Qin upright. Father, such a foolish monarch isn't worthy of your respect. You are my father, Zhao Mu. From now on, only others will bow before you. Zhao Mu's words were treasonous. The old emperor's face contorted with rage. Boy, are you rebelling? You are an unjust and incompetent ruler, and I will bring justice to the people of Zhao. Zhao Mu stated firmly. Very well. I hope you won't regret those words. The old emperor pulled out a token and shouted, intruders in the palace. Come to my rescue. Zhao Mu was stunned. He was speechless. He thought the old emperor was confident, but he had to ask for help, anyway. Chapter 84. The emperor was kidnapped by a demon. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The old emperor stood with his hands clasped behind his back, his eyes filled with disdain for everyone. While Taoist Hong and Han Kue's deaths gave him a start, they were just a couple of random cultivators, no great loss. He had the backing of those real immortal family disciples. He wasn't about to be intimidated by Zhao Mu, who showed up out of nowhere. Forget Zhao Mu, he didn't even sweat the great Zhou dynasty. Once those immortal masters combined their power, he'd personally lead the charge, crush the great Zhou dynasty, and fold it right into Zhao kingdom. Then, he'd be the one and only emperor of Zhao throughout history, worshipped by all. Just then, several whooshing sounds cut through the air. Everyone looked up to see 7 swords flying in, carrying 7 graceful figures who landed in the palace at lightning speed. My esteemed immortal masters, please, help me. These young punks barged into the palace, offed my advisors and generals, and are trying to stage a coup. I implore you to take action and subdue these rebellious traitors. That the old emperor spoke respectfully. He wasn't a fool. He knew not to mess with these immortal masters. If he wanted to build his empire, he needed their mojo, so he'd play it humble and give them plenty of respect. One of the younger monks spoke up, Your Majesty, you worry too much. We promise to protect Zhao state, and we won't tolerate any threats, internal or external. He spun around, eyes like daggers, wanting to see who had the guts to rebel right under their noses, and then he saw him, and the young monk's eyes nearly bugged out. Zhao Mu, that the old emperor looked surprised. You know this traitor, smack, star. Before the old emperor could finish the sentence, the young monk slapped him so hard he stumbled backward, landing on his butt. The old emperor was stunned, staring at the young monk in disbelief. Master Immortal, what's the meaning of this? That the young monk didn't have time for the old windbag. He rushed forward, dropped to his knees in front of Zhao Mu with a loud thump. The force of the impact even cracked the bluestone paving. Congrats, senior brother Zhao. That the other 6 were thunderstruck. They got it now. They finally understood who this guy really was. They scrambled forward, kneeling to pay their respects. The 7 immortal masters, who were ready to throw down just moments before, were now kneeling in a perfect row before Zhao Mu. The old emperor stared, his face turning white as a sheet. Zhao Chen and the others had been gearing up for a fight, but this was beyond anything they could have imagined. They stood frozen, unable to process what was happening. Wang Sheng, you thought you were being clever, but you didn't think things through. You figured you could get back in my good graces by helping the Zhao royal family fend off invaders. But you messed up by getting your priorities backward and backing a king who's both a moron and a scoundrel. You get it now. That the guy kneeling before them was none other than Wang Sheng, an outer disciple of the Shengyuan Demon Sect. He was the one who had snatched Zhao Mu from Wushuan City. Wang Sheng was shaking like a leaf. Senior brother Zhao, I screwed up, okay? Please, have mercy. I'll do whatever it takes to make it up to you. Just tell me what you want. Wang Sheng was secretly cursing the old emperor. You blind old geezer, my chance to redeem myself was going perfectly, and you had to go and ruin it. If I hadn't been quick on my feet, I'd be toast right now. Zhao Mu's standing in the Shengyuan Demon Sect was insane. He had the holy girl and 3 elders backing him up. He practically owned the place. Someone like Wang couldn't even dream of crossing him. If he didn't handle this right, he could forget about ever going back to the Shengyuan Demon Sect. Zhao Mu said, "Get up. You did me a solid by coming to protect Zhao Kingdom. I'm willing to let bygones be bygones, but you need to explain this whole mess." Wang knew exactly what Zhao Mu was getting at. Zhao Mu was planning a power grab, and why not? With Zhao Mu's clout, it made perfect sense for him to put his own family on the throne, but outright rebellion didn't look good. People would talk, and it would all end up feeling wrong, but if outsiders stepped in, that was a different story. After a moment, Wang offered, "Senior brother Zhao, the old emperor was possessed by a demon. He accidentally drank some poison potion, and his soul went to meet his ancestors. Fortunately, King Beichen's brave son stepped in and used his sword to slay the demon and return Zhao Kingdom to its glory." How's that sound? This guy's sharp. He came up with a plausible story in no time. A real talent, Zhao Mu nodded. That works. Hearing Zhao Mu decide his fate with a single sentence, the old emperor sank into despair. He never imagined it would end like this. Zhao Chen, you lucky dog. How did you manage to spawn such an incredible son? If he wasn't ready to give up, but before the old emperor could rally, Wang was already standing in front of him. "Emperor, you're beyond saving. You shouldn't have made an enemy of senior brother Zhao. He's a disciple of the Shengyuan Demon Sect, a genius among geniuses. He's going places. You're just a small-time player, not even a blip on his radar. He's destined for the 5 holy lands, and big shots would fight each other just to get him as a disciple. Compared to senior brother Zhao, this crummy little Zhao Kingdom isn't even worth mentioning." Wang shook his head, ready to finish the job, when suddenly someone shouted, "Stop!" A graceful figure came riding on a tiger, leaping off its back and putting herself between Wang and the old emperor. "Zhao Mu, please, don't kill my father. He may be a fool, but he's still my father. I can't just stand by and watch him die." The girl pleaded, tears streaming down her face. Zhao Mu's expression shifted. It was the little princess of Zhao Kingdom, his almost wife, Zhao Qingxi. She'd seen everything. This is a problem. As long as the old emperor was alive, King Beichen couldn't take the throne properly. Should he still go through with it? Wang didn't know who the girl was, but if she was calling Zhao Mu by name, she had to be someone important. Now Wang was the one squirming, but he also saw Zhao Mu's hesitation. If she could make Zhao Mu uneasy, there had to be a real connection, or Zhao Mu wouldn't be in such a tough spot. An idea popped into his head. "Senior brother Zhao, I wouldn't say he is dead. Let's say that the emperor was kidnapped by a monster, so his life is unknown." Zhao Mu understood instantly. For Zhao Qingxi's sake, the emperor could live, as long as he never came back to Zhao. "You handle it. As long as the emperor never sets foot in Zhao again, it doesn't matter if he's dead or alive." Zhao Mu reached out and pulled Zhao Qingxi close. "Qingxi, I'm doing this for you. If it wasn't for you, the old emperor would be dead right now." Zhao Mu held her hand. Zhao Qingxi instinctively wanted to pull away, but she couldn't match Zhao Mu's strength. Instead of getting away, she was pulled forward, almost falling into his arms. She felt ashamed and annoyed, but thinking about her father's situation, she felt conflicted. Maybe it would be best for him to leave the court and live as a regular person. "I agree." Chapter 85 Regent. You are listening at novelfull.audio. An evil wind suddenly kicked up, and black clouds pressed down over the city. People poured out of their houses in Wushuan City, stopping to stare. They saw wisps of dark energy swirling out of the palace, like some demon being born and about to unleash hell on earth. "We're doomed. The Zhao Kingdom is finished. Run for your lives, or the monsters will eat you." Just as the people were fleeing in a panic, a beam of golden light shot up from the palace. "Demons, get back. Your true forms are about to be revealed, and the swords are coming for you." Someone recognized the figure bathed in golden light as Zhao Mu. the young master of Beichen Palace, Zhao Mu stood tall in the sky, his black hair flying, radiating righteousness. He slashed his sword through the air, and the dark clouds instantly scattered, the sun once again bathing the earth. A horde of grotesque demons, forced back by the power of the sword, let out ear-splitting, terrifying howls. Zhao Mu, you're too much. Alright, you win this round. But we'll meet again. That the demon staggered, grabbed an old man in a dragon robe, and vanished into the sky with a whoosh. Zhao Mu shouted, "Release the emperor." That he leaped up with his sword, ready to give chase, but was stopped by a burst of purple lightning that appeared out of nowhere. All he could do was watch helplessly as the demons carried off the emperor. The people in the city were stunned. They were just ordinary folks, and had never witnessed such a spectacular display of immortals battling it out. That's about it. Zhao Mu slowly descended back to the palace. Zhao Chen, his throat suddenly dry, asked, "Mu'er, is this really going to work?" "It's just for show. We need to give the people a believable reason to accept the new emperor. Even if someone suspects something later on, by then my father will already be firmly on the throne, and it'll be too late for any real resistance." Zhao Mu explained. The whole scene was Wang Xing's plan, with Zhao Mu just playing his part. The demons were Wang Xing and his crew, demon cultivators who didn't even need makeup to play the part. They could transform directly into their demonic forms, and the demonic aura of the dark clouds. An effect Zhao Mu created using the power of the formation. Zhao Qingxi looked toward the horizon and murmured, "I hope my father can make it on his own out there." A high-ranking emperor, used to all the glory and wealth, was suddenly reduced to a commoner, having to provide for himself. The difference in lifestyle was extreme, and Zhao Qingxi was worried her father wouldn't be able to handle it. Zhao Mu said, "Don't worry, I've already told Wang Xing to find the emperor a nice, peaceful place to retire. He might even take an interest in cultivating immortality. It's way more exciting than being an emperor." Zhao Qingxi felt a little better after hearing that. She looked up at Zhao Mu, studying him carefully. "Cousin, I haven't seen you in a year. You've changed so much, I almost didn't recognize you." The lineage of King Beichen was once a direct branch of the royal family. According to seniority, Zhao Qingxi was right to call Zhao Mu her cousin. "I've been through a lot this year, that's for sure. I'll tell you all about it later." Zhao Mu looked at Zhao Qingxi. He thought he would be overjoyed to see the little princess, but for some reason, he didn't feel that much excitement. Come to think of it, Zhao Mu had only met Zhao Qingxi once. His fondness for her was mostly based on the memories of his predecessor. The playboy's obsession with Zhao Qingxi had influenced Zhao Mu's soul to some degree, creating subtle illusions. Truth was, Zhao Mu had seen so many women in the past year in the Shengyuan Demon Sect that his perspective had changed. While Zhao Qingxi was undeniably a beauty among mortals, mortals were still mortals, full of imperfections and earthly concerns. Practitioners, on the other hand, had clear minds and bodies, untouched by the mundane. They never aged, and possessed superior innate abilities and talents. Quite a difference. It wasn't that Zhao Mu disliked Zhao Qingxi, but he was already thinking of ways to make her a practitioner. Zhao Qingxi wasn't that old, just 17, but she hadn't awakened her spiritual roots yet, which meant she probably didn't have the right physique for cultivation. For Zhao Qingxi to become a practitioner, he would first need to use pills to reshape her and awaken her spiritual roots. Easier said than done. He wouldn't know for sure until Zhao Qingxi was back at the Shengyuan Demon Sect. "Cousin, once this mortal business is over, would you like to come with me to the immortal sect and pursue the path to immortality?" Zhao Mu asked. He couldn't reveal yet that he was from the Holy Yuan Demon Sect. Even though he knew the demon sect wasn't inherently evil, it mixed the forces of humans and demons, which sounded chaotic. For most humans, who saw demons as mortal enemies, the Shengyuan Demon Sect would seem like a shady organization just from its name. The human race still put its faith in the 5 holy lands. After all, the 5 supreme powers of the human race were based there, the true center of immortal cultivation. Zhao Qingxi was overjoyed. "Really? Cousin, you're so good to me. I'm so happy." That she stood on tiptoes and gave Zhao Mu a quick, unexpected kiss. Zhao Mu smiled, not surprised by the little girl's reaction. People born in the Xianwu continent understood a fundamental truth: immortality was the only path to real hope. As a mortal, no matter how rich or powerful you were, you only had 100 years of glory at most. Everything would be for nothing in the end. Even emperors and generals would turn to dust. Only seeking immortality held true meaning in life. Although Zhao Qingxi was a princess with an extraordinary status, she lacked the natural talent for cultivation. This was Zhao Qingxi's biggest regret, and now Zhao Mu was offering to take her to the immortal sect. How could she not be excited? Zhao Mu patted Zhao Qingxi on the head. Cultivation is never easy, especially if you don't have the talent. You might have to work many times harder than others, only to get results that are far worse. Even so, would you regret it? Zhao Qingxi nodded firmly. As long as I can cultivate immortality, I'll never complain, no matter how hard it gets. Not bad. No matter how much her talents could be improved, at least her attitude was good. Of course, attitude was one thing, and reality was another, but as long as Zhao Qingxi didn't give up halfway, Zhao Mu would help her as much as he could. Resources were the one thing he didn't lack. Once he secured all 10 refund quotas, any resources he wanted would be just a matter of snapping his fingers. After making arrangements for Zhao Qingxi, Zhao Mu went to Zhao Chen and said, "Father, the formal enthronement can be postponed, but the country can't be without a ruler. I suggest you temporarily take over as regent and order all civil and military officials to handle this dangerous situation facing Zhaoguo." Zhao Chen perked up at this. When he was young, he had dreamed of ascending to the throne one day, becoming the supreme ruler and ruling the world. Unexpectedly, at his age, there was still a chance for that dream to come true. Chapter 86 The Evil Man Wang Xian. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Zhao Chen stepped into the palace and, acting as regent, immediately took over the emperor's duties. This news spread like wildfire through Wushuan City. The transition was seamless. With the emperor captured by demons, the throne couldn't remain vacant. While the emperor had several sons, none possessed the necessary power or influence. Zhao Chen, on the other hand, had prestige on his side. Although a distant relative, elevating him to the throne might typically spark opposition from the direct line. However, with Dao Hong and Han Kue's bodies barely cold, nobody dared voice dissent. An hour later, hundreds of officials, both civil and military, gathered in the palace to strategize against Zhou and quell the rebellion. It was all for show, really. Whether Zhaoguo could defend itself depended entirely on Zhao Mu's actions. Outside Wushuan City's north gate, Goldman Sachs, having already turned back, bowed respectfully. "Senior brother Zhao, I've arranged for 2 tribesmen to escort the old emperor out of the country. The remaining 3 and I are at your disposal." Zhao Mu inquired, "You've been here longer and know more about the Zhou kingdom than I do. How should we approach this situation?" Goldman Sachs paused, then said, "If stability is your only goal, you'll have no trouble holding power. But since you asked, I suspect you have bigger plans, like using this chaos to Zhaoguo's advantage, maybe even swallowing Zhou whole. Am I right?" Zhao Mu gave him a sidelong glance. "It's a waste of your talents, keeping you in the outer sect." Goldman Sachs chuckled. "Thank you for the compliment, brother Zhao. Do you think annexing Zhou is feasible?" Goldman Sachs pondered. "I've been quietly investigating Zhou. From what I gather, Emperor Zhou, Qiyu, has likely fallen under the sway of a sorcerer named Wang Xian. Annexing Zhou shouldn't be too difficult, but Wang Xian is an unknown quantity. He must have an agenda. But if you can capture him, the problem solves itself." "Wang Xian, what's his cultivation level?" "At least nascent soul realm. With your current cultivation, and the helpers you brought, it's too risky to approach him directly. However, I've heard he's quite the alchemist, but with a dark twist. He creates toxic elixirs using incredibly cruel methods, often involving live human sacrifices. He rounded up tens of thousands of boys and girls in Zhou, and they've vanished. I fear none are left alive." Zhao Mu frowned. This Wang Xian sounded like a real piece of work. He needed to go to Zhou himself. "Stay here and continue to protect Zhao. Eliminate any invading enemies." Zhao Mu instructed Wang Sheng, before summoning Pig Flea and Bear Blind. "You two stay in Wushuan City, protect my father, and assist Wang Sheng in defending against enemies and maintaining order. With my father new to power, there may be secret resistance. Show no mercy. Crush them with an iron fist. A change in dynasty is never smooth, and often requires bloodshed. Zhao Mu wasn't concerned about his father's abilities, but feared his soft heart might prevent him from making hard decisions. That's where Pig Flea and Bear Blind came in, while docile around Zhao Mu, calling him boss. They were still nascent soul demons. Suppressing rebels, or even a secular dynasty, was child's play. Pig Flea cupped his fists. Don't worry, boss. If anyone lays a hand on the old master, I'll wipe out their entire bloodline. Bear Blind grinned. With me around, not even a fly will get near the palace. Keep a sharp eye. Zhao Mu produced 2 elixirs and gave them to the demons. Overjoyed, their loyalty practically skyrocketed to max level. Zhao Mu, in turn, received a high-grade elixir as a reward, which was quite satisfying. Ghost Clam, you're coming with me. Zhao Mu tossed him a spiritual medicine. As you command. Without saying his goodbyes, Zhao Mu set off north with his sword towards the great Zhou dynasty. His destination was Jinhua, Zhou's capital, over 2,000 miles from Wuxuan City as the crow flies. Flying by sword was much faster than Kong Xingzhou, and he might even catch up with Shi Rui. Speeding along, Zhao Mu pushed his sword-wielding speed to the limit, making it difficult for Ghost Clam to keep up. This surprised Ghost Clam. His boss was only at the 6th level of alchemy, yet his spiritual power rivaled that of a nascent soul cultivator. This asterisk was the power of a true genius. Following such a talent might be the smartest move the 3 brothers ever made. I must work harder and never let him down. Ghost Clam strained, his demonic power surging, barely managing to keep pace with Zhao Mu. Unaware, Zhao Mu, feeling bored, pulled out the low-grade heaven-level skill 8 desolate fire techniques and began to study it, but after a while, he gave up. His comprehension just wasn't there yet. Heaven-level techniques were tough. Even if an ordinary monk obtained one, it could be a curse. Without sufficient understanding, one wouldn't even grasp the basics. Zhao Mu could force his way through, but it would be a waste of time. Better to wait until he broke through to the nascent soul realm and improved his comprehension. An hour later. We're already here. Standing among the clouds, Zhao Mu looked down at a bustling city. Jinhua, the capital of the great Zhou dynasty, nestled amidst mountains and rivers. Jinhua was protected on 3 sides, with a vast, fertile plain to the south. Abundant rainfall and lush vegetation gave the impression of being in southern China during the rainy season. Like Wuxuan City, Jinhua was an ancient city with a history spanning tens of thousands of years, and it was more than twice the size. Wuxuan City had a population of 5 million, Jinhua likely exceeded 10 million. Imagine a city without skyscrapers supporting a population of 10 million. Just how prosperous could it be? Zhao Mu scanned the city, noticing Shi Rui's presence only recently. She had just arrived and probably entered the palace. Zhao Mu figured Wang Xian was also in the palace. Shi Rui might confront him directly. However, if Zhao Mu and Ghost Clam revealed themselves, Wang Xian might become frightened and hide. After hesitating, Zhao Mu instructed, conceal your aura, blend in like an ordinary person. Let's observe for now. Ghost Clam nodded, suppressing his aura and pulling up the hood of his cloak to hide his face. Zhao Mu also masked his aura, landed outside the city walls, and walked in. Chapter 87 Shi Rui is poisoned. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The city of Jinhua was buzzing with life. Shops lined the streets, packed with people, a truly prosperous sight. The spiritual energy wasn't exactly thick here, but it was a step up from Wuxuan City. You could occasionally catch a whiff of a Qi training monk's aura walking down the street. Plus, Zhou was a martial arts-centric kingdom. Everyone seemed to be practicing, and the people you saw were built like brick houses. After a quick scan, Zhao Mu made a mental note. Zhou's overall strength was way higher than Zhao's. Even without those foundation-building cavalry hopped up on poison pills attacking the city, Zhou could easily conquer Zhao with its own military might. Boss, Gueha said, scratching his head, these Zhou folks are too chill. They're snatching up thousands of kids, but nobody seems worried. People are strolling around with their kids like nothing's happening. Zhao Mu explained, it means that Wang Xian is playing it smart. He hasn't touched any kids in the capital itself. The people here probably don't even know what's going on. He's planning a long con, slowly draining Zhou until it's worthless to him, then he'll clear out. Damn, that guy's cold-blooded. I can't even tell if he's human. Human or demon, doesn't matter. We're taking him down today. Zhao Mu figured Zhou would be Zhao territory soon, and the people of Zhou would be Zhao people. Letting some psycho run wild, offing kids, would only hurt Zhao in the long run. As they talked, they passed a jewelry store. It was packed with pearls and gems of all colors, nothing spiritual, but still nice to look at. The centerpiece was a massive, multicolored coral. The shape looked like a peacock from a distance, and it was completely natural, pretty rare. Since things were quiet for now, Zhao Mu figured he had some downtime. He turned and headed into the store, flagged down a clerk, and asked, "What's the story with that coral?" The clerk perked right up, eager to tell the tale. Turns out, a fisherman hauled it up at sea. After changing hands a few times, the jewelry store owner bought it, hoping to flip it for a big profit. The price wasn't cheap, 8,000 taels of gold. For regular people, that was insane money. Even big-shot officials might not have that kind of cash lying around, so, the coral had been sitting there for a couple of years, gathering dust. Practitioners were the only ones who could afford it, but the coral was just a pretty rock. No spiritual energy, so no practitioner gave it a second glance, but Zhao Mu was intrigued. He'd just scored a cave and needed some decorations. The coral wasn't magical, but it was rare and beautiful. It would look great by the pool or in the courtyard. "Get your boss," Zhao Mu said. "I want that coral." The clerk scurried to the back and dragged out the owner. The guy was a middle-aged dude, fat face, decked out in gold and silver, kind of tacky. "You take spirit stones?" Zhao Mu asked, cutting to the chase. The owner's eyes lit up. He realized the young man was a cultivator. He switched to a fawning grin and nodded like crazy. "Of course. One low-grade spirit stone is worth 1 tael of gold. For you, master, I'll even knock off 20%. Box it up nice, don't break it." Zhao Mu tossed him a bag of spirit stones. The bag held 10,000 low-grade stones, worth 10,000 taels of gold. A fortune for mortals. But for Zhao Mu, those stones weren't even worth keeping in his storage ring. "Keep the change." The owner peeked in the bag, grinning from ear to ear. He barked orders to get the coral boxed up. Zhao Mu waved a hand, shoved the box into his storage ring, and walked out. He wandered around a bit, grabbing some odds and ends, mostly snacks, some antiques, paintings, and rare fruits and vegetables. Storage rings kept things fresh, so he could stock up and not worry about anything going bad. Just as Zhao Mu was about to check out the nearby red light district, a huge surge of spiritual energy blasted from the direction of the palace. Zhao Mu's head snapped around. He and Gue Ha tore off toward the palace. Ordinary folks couldn't feel the energy, so Jinhua City was still in full swing. But near the palace, security was tight. Guards everywhere, protecting the place, and they were all at the foundation establishment level. But they had the same weird aura as those cavalry from Zhao, juiced up on poison pills. Zhao Mu reached the palace walls, dropped the act, and unleashed his cultivation. He sliced a path through the guards and barged inside. Following the energy, he found his way to a garden in the harem. A thick cloud of poison fog hung in the air. The rare herbs in the garden were withered and dying. Inside the fog, Shi Rui floated, covered in a faint white light, holding back the poison. In the thickest part of the fog, a tall, skinny figure could be seen, Wang Xian. Zhao Mu was surprised. Wang Xian was stronger than he expected, nearing the peak of the nascent soul stage, almost to the god transformation realm. A master like that could have a high-ranking position in any sect, with access to tons of resources. Why was he messing around in the mortal world? Only one answer made sense. Wang Xian's power came from sacrificing kids. That was his cultivation method. "Senior sister, don't worry, I'm here." Zhao Mu didn't have time to think. He zipped over to Shi Rui. The power of the red sun blazed out, burning away the fog. No matter how strong, the poison was still evil. Zhao Mu's red sun power was the natural counter, suppressing the fog. Shi Rui looked relieved. Brother Zhao, be careful. He's halfway to transformation, and he's got nasty tricks. I fell right into his trap. I'm poisoned, and my spiritual energy isn't flowing right. Shi Rui was poisoned. Zhao Mu saw a wisp of black in her chest. The poison was near her heart. A Jindan cultivator would be dead by now, but Shi Rui was a Yuanying powerhouse. As long as her nascent soul wasn't destroyed, it would be harder to kill her with poison. Zhao Mu didn't hesitate. He grabbed Shi Rui's arm and blasted red sun power into her to fight the poison. Chapter 88, Ghost Gate. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Shi Rui's face flushed the instant the red sun energy entered her. Zhao Mu's red sun power was basically poison to a woman, but quick detox was only possible this way. I'm fine, don't worry. Let's deal with that creep. He killed the great Zhou dynasty's emperor and turned him into a zombie puppet. If a twisted freak like that gets loose, we'll have nothing but trouble. Heh, so this is the help you brought? A nobody at the 6th level of Jindan, some sure family girl. Why don't you just give in and join me? I'll reward you with a ton of pills and you'll break through to spirit transformation in no time. That a nasty chuckle drifted from the poisonous fog. The creep finally showed himself. He was a pretty boy in a red-patterned Taoist robe. His face was pale, like he wasn't even alive, but his lips were redder than blood, which was just creepy. Just looking at his dark eyes gave Zhao Mu the willies, like his soul was about to split. Heads up, boss. This guy's got ghost pupil magic. You look at him too long, and he'll suck your soul right out. That the ghost clam suddenly roared, burst out from behind Zhao Mu, and charged. The creep got hit by a solid blow, but it didn't even faze him. Instead, he dissolved into a dark green poisonous mist and scattered. Pale ghost hands appeared inside the mist and reached out for the ghost clam from every direction, grabbing him and pinning him down. A nascent soul demon cultivator. Interesting. You keep demon cultivators as pets. You fit right in with my ghost Dao sect. Wanna join? I'll make you my demon-controlling boy. A cold laugh echoed from behind Zhao Mu. The creep, Wang Xian, had slipped behind Zhao Mu and Shi Rui unnoticed. His pale hands with their sharp nails reached for their heads. Shi Rui was terrified. She tried to fight back, but her body wouldn't move. It was like her soul couldn't control her anymore. Zhao Mu wasn't as bad off, but the moment he turned to face Wang Xian, he got a major head rush. Maybe it was instinct, but Zhao Mu's red sun saint body flared up, blasting out a dazzling red light that bounced the creep's ghost hand away. Without a word, Zhao Mu grabbed Shi Rui's arm and threw her clear. Once she was far enough away from the creep, Shi Rui snapped out of it and could move again. She reacted fast, whipping out a magic item and attacking. It was a jade seal, which flew over the creep's head, and grew hundreds of times bigger, becoming a giant jade block that smashed down on him. Bang, the creep's body turned into green mist again and scattered. You asked for it. That the creep's voice suddenly came from behind Shi Rui. Shi Rui's face went white. She was paralyzed with fear, but before she could even turn, she got blasted with a green poisonous mist and fell into the lotus pond in the Imperial Garden, sending up a huge splash. Zhao Mu tried to save her, but he was too late. That's some freaky movement. Looks like this guy's gonna be tougher than I thought. Zhao Mu frowned. He'd underestimated Wang Xian. This creep wasn't going to be easy. Purple lightning. Zhao Mu suddenly unleashed a barrage of purple lightning, covering the entire Imperial Garden in arcs of electricity. The crackling lightning scattered the poisonous fog, and the ghost clam broke free and rushed back to Zhao Mu's side. Boss, this guy's rough. I might have to go back to my original form to keep fighting. Whatever it takes. We're in this deep, so let's go all in. Demons popping up in the palace would cause a major uproar, but who cares about that now? They can just blame it all on the creep later. Gu Gua, that the ghost clam shuddered and transformed into a giant toad the size of a building. Venom spewed from the bumps on its back, forming a massive barrier that sealed off the entire Imperial Garden. Oh. So you're one of us? You want to join my ghost sect too? That the creep's eyes lit up, staring at the ghost clam's true form with blatant admiration. It was more intense than seeing a naked supermodel, not just the ghost clam, but Zhao Mu felt a chill. This was on him. This guy was still breathing because of him. Get wrecked. That the 8th grade flying sword, Zhanmie Han Ku, shot out and slashed with blinding speed, unleashing a massive wave of sword energy. Wang Xian didn't even care at first, but the moment the sword energy got close, he sensed an intense masculine energy within it, the same as the energy Zhao Mu had blasted out before. So, you're the Red Sun Saint body. No wonder you think you can fight me. Wang Xian knew about the Red Sun Saint body. He wasn't as dumb as he looked. Zhao Mu didn't waste time. He whipped up a windstorm of palm strikes, unleashing one burning flame palm after another, and the temperature in the Imperial Garden spiked. Sword chi, holy body, lightning, fire palms, you've got a lot of tricks, but none of them are strong enough. It's still too hard to beat me with this. Considering you're only at the pill formation level, you're a genius. It's rare to find geniuses in the human race. If my Ghost Dao sect could recruit a human genius like you to start with, that would be awesome. Quit jerking off and come join us, recruit your mom. Zhao Mu turned into a grumpy old man and started trash-talking, while flinging fire palm prints as fast as he could. The temperature kept rising. Even the glazed tiles on the Lotus Pond Pavilion started melting, and the lake started boiling. The ghost clam's venom barrier had completely sealed off the royal garden, so Zhao Mu's fire couldn't dissipate, which explained it. He just wanted to burn this creep alive with his red sun-infused flames. Don't be ignorant, kid. Joining our ghost sect is an honor. In the human cultivation world, only the sacred grounds of the 5 supreme beings are stronger than us. Join us, and I guarantee you a bright future, endless resources, endless sleepovers with stunning women. You can do whatever you want. Our ghost sect doesn't have rules or restrictions. Do whatever you want, no one will judge you, no worldly morals to bind you. Wang Xian was staring at Zhao Mu, wide-eyed. The enchanting words gave Zhao Mu a splitting headache and scrambled his mind. His spiritual power was faltering, and he almost fell out of the sky. At the last second, Zhao Mu bit his tongue and used the pain to stay awake. Chapter 89. Why do I need a reason to kill you? You are listening at novelfull.audio. The red sun blazed like fire, burning away the darkness. As its power surged through him, Zhao Mu's mind cleared, but when he looked up, Wang Xian was gone. A jolt of danger shot through him from behind. Wang Xian was now practically on top of him. A cruel smile twisted Wang Xian's lips as he lunged with a blood-rune-etched sword. He didn't want to kill someone this promising, but the kid was too stubborn to reason with. Best to knock him out, drag him back to the Ghost Road sect, and break him down later. But the killing blow never landed. Wang Xian's eyes widened as Zhao Mu dodged the blade by a hair. He'd mastered the art of concealing his presence, and with his unique physique, he could become virtually invisible, even to gods. How could this kid, barely a level 6, sense him? What kind of senses did he possess? Zhao Mu, though outwardly calm, was soaked in sweat as the sword whistled past. Thankfully, the 3-step shuffle hadn't failed him. He thrived at a distance, but anyone who got that close was trouble, no matter how stealthy. This technique invented by the Saint Yuan ancestor was a lifesaver. Too bad he hadn't mastered it completely. That was why Wang Xian was able to get so close. Zap, star, while Wang Xian stood frozen, surprised, a burst of violet lightning erupted from Zhao Mu. The dense arcs formed a cage around Wang Xian. He reacted quickly, but being so close after a failed sneak attack left him vulnerable. He fought to escape the lightning's grasp. Seeing his opening, Zhao Mu didn't hesitate. He slammed a palm into Wang Xian's chest. The palm glowed red-hot, radiating incredible heat. Though Wang Xian managed to protect his nascent soul at the last second, half of his body was obliterated. His left arm and part of his chest were instantly reduced to ash by the searing flames. Half his heart was gone. Such wounds would be fatal to a cultivator like Danjia, but Wang Xian was at the peak of Yuanying's cultivation. Protecting his nascent soul wasn't a fatal injury. A black blur shot out from Wang Xian's ruined chest. It was a palm-sized ball of black mist with a tiny figure inside. The figure was incredibly old, confirming it was his nascent soul, and it didn't match Wang Xian's appearance. Zhao Mu realized that Wang Xian wasn't who he appeared to be, that someone had taken control of his body. This old guy had probably died countless times, finding new hosts for his nascent soul. He couldn't let him get away. The nascent soul was fast. The black mist crackled with power, shattering the venom barrier the ghost clam had created and soaring into the sky. Zhao Mu followed, drawing his sword. He pushed his spiritual power to the limit, but he couldn't keep up. Desperate, he grabbed a talisman from his pouch and slapped it onto his leg. It was a speed-enhancing charm given to him by Master Zhou Xiliang. The boost in speed closed the distance. "Boy, we have no quarrel. Why do you do this?" A raspy voice echoed from the nascent soul. "Knock it off, I don't need a reason to kill you." Zhao Mu's hands blazed, reaching for the nascent soul. The black energy around the nascent soul churned, forming spectral hands to fight him off. The ghost hands were deadly, but they were no match for the power of the red sun. They dissolved on contact. Zhao Mu relentlessly smashed through the defenses, leaving the nascent soul exposed. He grabbed it, the flames engulfed it, eliciting a tortured scream. "You've made an enemy of the ghost sect. You'll regret this." Wang Xian roared, then was consumed by the flames and turned to ash. A storage ring tumbled from the remains. Zhao Mu snatched it up. Looks like he had a backup plan hidden in there. All the resources he needed to start over. Now it's all mine. He grinned and headed back to the palace. The venom barrier was gone. The ghost clam had pulled Shi Rui from the lotus pond, but she was in bad shape. The poisons reached her heart. "It's critical," the ghost clam said. Shi Rui lay unconscious on the bank, her face pale. Zhao Mu rushed over and saw that her meridians were almost completely frozen. "I gave her the power of the red sun. Why didn't it stop the poison?" He carried her to a room in the harem. "Guard the door. No one gets near," he ordered. The ghost clam nodded and went outside. Zhao Mu laid Shi Rui on the bed, removed her wet clothes, and gently lifted the hem of her silk dress, revealing her smooth belly. The poison was concentrated here, wrapped around her nascent soul. He placed his hands on her stomach, channeling the power of the red sun to fight the poison. It helped, but not enough. The poison was strange, bonded to Shi Rui's own spiritual power, and had already begun to corrupt her nascent soul. Any wrong move could damage it. The nascent soul was fragile, and damage to it could hinder Shi Rui's cultivation. He had to be careful. "Wait, Wang Xian used this poison. Maybe there's an antidote in his storage ring." He opened the ring and began to search. It was crammed with pills, all of them poisons. Each one had a different effect, and there were no labels. Only Wang Xian knew what they were. Besides the pills, there were some alchemy tools and a few books. The most interesting was a book called Ghost Dao Secrets. Something to do with the Ghost Road sect. Curious, Zhao Mu opened it. Outsiders are forbidden from reading Ghost Dao Secrets. A line of red text flashed onto the page, and the book slammed shut. Seriously? This book has an ID check. The Ghost Road sect was stranger than he thought, but he didn't have time to dwell on it. He continued searching the storage ring for an antidote. Chapter 90 Chiyang Detoxification. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Soon, Zhao Mu stumbled upon a disturbing book titled Eating Infants and Refining Souls. After skimming through a few pages, Zhao Mu's face darkened. It detailed a method for creating incredibly potent poison, requiring the sacrifice of 10,000 young boys and girls to refine it. This poison, called refining infant, would corrode the victim's nascent soul, gradually turning them into a mindless puppet controlled by the poisoner. Wang Xian's abduction of children in Zhou Kingdom was likely for the sole purpose of brewing this poison. The fact that he used such a vile concoction on Shi Rui, Zhao Mu shuddered to think what would have happened had he not intervened and Shi Rui had faced Wang Xian alone. "Consider yourself lucky you ran into me," Zhao Mu muttered. He glanced at Shi Rui, continuing to apply red sun power to her lower abdomen while flipping through the book, searching for a way to counteract the poison. The book actually contained a detoxification method, but it was equally cruel. It required draining the yang energy from 10,000 adult men to create the Wanyang pill, which could neutralize the infant refining poison. This Wanyang pill was a powerful antidote capable of neutralizing almost any poison, but how could Zhao Mu possibly find the time to refine it? Even if he did, sacrificing 10,000 men to save Shi Rui would be no different from Wang Xian's evil deeds. However, the Wanyang pill recipe gave Zhao Mu some ideas on how to treat Shi Rui. His current treatment approach wasn't wrong. Detoxifying the infant poison required yang energy. With the potent yang energy of his red sun power, the effect might be comparable to the Wanyang pill. The problem was, his current method couldn't deliver enough red sun power to Shi Rui's body. It was only suppressing the poison. To completely eradicate the infant refining poison, he'd need to increase the red sun power tenfold, maybe even 100-fold. That meant using his red sun liquid, his most yang-infused treasure, but in this situation, wouldn't that mean, Zhao Mu wasn't trying to be a saint, but he definitely wasn't going to take advantage of someone in a vulnerable state, but he couldn't just stand by and do nothing either. Zhao Mu was torn. After a moment of contemplation, Zhao Mu reached out and touched Shi Rui's forehead, trying to suppress the poison in her mind and bring her back to consciousness. It worked. After a moment, Shi Rui groggily woke up. Zhao Mu wasted no time explaining her situation, the potency of the infant refining poison, and how his red sun holy body could help detoxify her, though the process might involve some side effects. Shi Rui, still half asleep, was stunned by the news. A blush crept onto her pale face. Junior brother Zhao, is there really no other way? Knowing she'd be skeptical, Zhao Mu pulled out Eating Infants and Refining Souls and handed it to her. Shi Rui quickly scanned the pages. While she believed Zhao Mu, she still had doubts. This book, did you make it up just to trick me? Ah crap. Zhao Mu felt a wave of indignation. He stood up, trying to appear indifferent. Senior sister, sure, you might not believe me, but please don't question my character. I wouldn't sink that low. If you don't trust me, feel free to find your own way to detoxify. The method's in the book, after all, as long as you can make the Wanyang pill. With that, Zhao Mu started to walk away. Without the red sun power to suppress the poison, Shi Rui felt a wave of dizziness. Realizing she might have no other choice, she quickly called out, Junior brother Zhao. I spoke out of turn. It's not too late to save me, is it? Zhao Mu stopped and turned back. Are you sure, senior sister? Sure. Don't come crying to me later, saying I took advantage of you. How could I? If you don't believe me, I'll write it down. Shi Rui's consciousness was fading fast. She grabbed a pen and paper, scribbled a note, and handed it to Zhao Mu. The next moment, Shi Rui passed out again. The note read, Please, Senior Zhao, detoxify me. Whatever the outcome, Shi Rui will take full responsibility. Her signature, complete with her essence, was undeniable. Zhao Mu pocketed the note and resumed channeling red sun power into Shi Rui. He couldn't be blamed for being cautious. This world was dangerous, and he had to watch his back. Another reason was that Shi Rui's favorability towards him was only at 30 points, not nearly enough to warrant blind trust. If it were above 80, he wouldn't have bothered with all this trouble. The system's favorability checking function was undeniably useful. It clearly showed who was trustworthy and who deserved to be treated with caution. After a moment, the green gauze curtain was lowered, creating a small, private space. 9966 words are omitted here. 2 hours later, Zhao Mu emerged from the room. A ghost clam guarded the entrance, and a large crowd had gathered outside the palace walls. Most of them were princes, nobles, and members of the royal family. They stared at the ghost clam with a mixture of hope and fear, but none dared to approach. Few had tried to force their way in earlier, only to have their corpses dissolve into pools of pus. Zhao Mu scanned the crowd and spotted a beautiful woman in luxurious clothes, her bearing graceful and her features bearing a striking resemblance to Shi Rui. Are you Shi Rui's sister? Zhao Mu asked as he approached her. The guards were startled by Zhao Mu's sudden appearance beside the queen, but they remained frozen in place. To cultivators, ordinary people were nothing more than ants, and these ants knew their place. They wouldn't dare draw their swords against a cultivator. Loyalty and duty were meaningless in the face of life and death. The beautiful woman was both frightened and confused by Zhao Mu's presence. But she was the queen of a nation, experienced and composed, and she managed to maintain her composure. Shi Rui is my sister. I am Shi Man, queen of Zhou Kingdom. Confirming her identity, Zhao Mu said, Come with me. Your sister's inside. She was seriously injured. Though she's been healed, she still needs someone to look after her. Sherman was surprised and elated to hear this. She had never expected her sister to return. Might I ask, Immortal Master, what became of the evil Taoist? Sherman asked anxiously. I killed Wang Xian. A collective sigh of relief rippled through the crowd. Zhao Mu ignored them and headed back inside. Queen Sherman followed close behind. Upon entering the room and seeing the pale Shi Rui lying on the bed, Sherman rushed to her side and burst into tears. Zhao Mu, annoyed by the outburst, slammed his hand on a nearby table. She's been saved, she's not dead. Why are you crying? Sherman quickly stifled her sobs, stammering, Immortal Master, forgive me. My sister was meant to be cultivating peacefully at the Immortal Sect. I'm the one who insisted on her return, and I almost cost her her life. I'm incompetent. It's my fault that I allowed His Majesty to be deceived by that evil spirit, and now he's lost his life because of it. The Emperor of Zhou is dead? Zhao Mu was surprised and demanded to know the details.